Support the Amigos podcast and keep the Amiga goodness flowing for just $1 a month. Visit our page at patreon.com/AmigosPodcast.
Amiga, the first personal computer that gives you a creative edge.
Amigos, the podcast about everything Amiga. Amigos is a proud member of the Throwback Network, your home for quality retro podcasts. And now, here are your hosts, Aaron Dowdy and John Bodovkar Schaller.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today we're going to be talking about Rodman, the guy from the Bulls. He's North Korea.
No. It's Rodland.
Rodland.
Yeah.
Doesn't roll off the tongue like Rodman.
No. It's funny, my girlfriend asked me, what are you guys doing this week? I said, I don't want to tell you. And she said, why? I was like, well, because the name is silly. She goes, what is it? I was like, Rodland. And she laughed. She goes, oh, that sounds great. What are you playing? I was like, well, you play a fairy. And she laughed some more. She goes, I'd like to be on your show. I was like, absolutely not.
But before we get into all the Rodland action, we got some feedback from our friend Mards Daro Christensen on Facebook. And he said, wonderful Battle Squadron episode, guys. Always good to hear about excellent games that came out of Denmark, as he's from Denmark as well. Talking about the Hugo Game that we were talking about last week.
Yeah.
He said the Hugo Game was created for a live TV show back in the day. The idea was that people would call the studio and then control the little troll called Hugo by pressing buttons on the phone. And he said, if I recall correctly, you'd win the money you collected in the game. That's why the game may seem a bit simple when you're playing at home.
It is weird. And I'll tell you something else. When I was reading an interview with the guy that did that, he said that they even had to rig up a way for people to play that game on the phone with a rotary phone.
Wow.
And so he said it was incredibly slow, but they did support rotary phones.
Because, that's like pulse tone dialing.
Yeah.
So there's just whatever number of pulses.
Which I thought that was pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
Just the thought of that.
I wonder if you could get in there with one of those Steve Jobs phone freaking boxes and do a number on Hugo.
That would be. I can't imagine watching someone play that. So it could be a lot of screaming at the TV.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got some big news in the world of Amigos.
All right, what do we got?
Thanks to our man on the street. Yeah, thanks to our man on the street, Dreamcatcher. He secured us an exclusive interview with the Oliver twins.
Unbelievable.
So, as you probably already know, the Oliver twins are one of the marquee names in the bedroom programming scene of the 1980s in England. They're the creators of Dizzy and all of his marvelous adventures, among other titles as well.
And I think they're still quite active.
Yeah, they're in active development of a new game right now that I'm sure we'll talk about.
They're sort of the poster child for the bedroom programming craze of that, that swept to the UK there.
Mm-hmm.
I am utterly baffled that we've managed to get these guys on the show, and it's wow.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, it's a little intimidating.
Yeah. So look forward to that. It's going to be coming up in a couple weeks. It's not going to be tomorrow, but we're really excited, and we've got some really good questions that we're formulating. If you have a question that you'd like to ask the Oliver twins, write us at amigospodcast.com or leave us a message on Facebook or Twitter, because we want to make sure that we ask these guys stuff that they haven't been asked a million times.
Yeah, and thankfully we've got some help getting ready from our crack staff.
Yeah, Will Williams and Dreamcatcher, Paul Kitching, all those guys. So.
Yes, and thanks to you guys too, because this is going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what news is there in the world of Amiga this week?
Well,
actually, you know what? Before you go on to the news, I want to bring up one more thing.
Okay.
So I bought this thing. I actually had one of these things, and if you're listening at home, let me describe to you what this thing is.
It's a thing.
This is a VGA to composite or S-video converter. So what you do is you plug your VGA in from a PC, and then it will come out either yellow or S-Video out, or you can even go VGA out again if you wanted to, though I don't know how that would help you. I had one of these things. Aaron had it. He brought it back to me. I immediately plugged it in. On the bottom of it, there was no voltage recommendation.
Oh dear.
So I just thought, hey, I've got this transformer that fits it. It fits in the hole. It should probably work, right? So I plugged it in. Smoke immediately poured from it. And that was the end of Mark 1. $10 later on Amazon, this one came. This one does have a voltage thing on it, and it's only 5 volts, so it's a big difference. This is a USB-powered device. So the idea behind this thing was I'm running from the A500 out through the GBS 8200, which allows us to connect this to a VGA monitor without a scan doubler. And I was like, well, if it's feeding out to the VGA monitor, why would it not feed out into this thing and out through Composite? Unfortunately, it doesn't work. You either get, it basically gives you the same thing that you'd get if you weren't hooked up to the GBS 8200. It's like it ignores the GBS 8200 completely. You can get a black and white stable image, or you can get a jumpy 15 hertz color image coming through this thing.
Is this to hook into your
my capture card?
And what inputs does the capture card have?
It's got S-Video and Composite.
Doesn't have HDMI?
No. This is a legacy model.
Awesome.
I bought it a couple years ago. Man, it broke. I got hats off to Elgato. I bought this thing in 2011. I plugged it in just the other day and it stopped working, and they're replacing it for free. So, good on them. But so anyway, that won't work. We're still looking for a solution to get video out directly from the Amiga 500 without having to tape the screen or record the screen. If you have any ideas that don't cost $1 million like all Amiga hardware does,
or aren't the little annoying box from hell,
right? Let us know. We want to hear it. Okay, on to the news.
What a pain that is.
It is.
Could they not have just put one of these damn things in the...
Yeah, cost cutting, man. That's what they were doing.
It's tough to be cheap and be an Amiga an owner. I mean,
almost impossible. Unless you get the gift from the gods like you got, where somebody just showed up at your doorstep with 6 Amigas.
Yeah, it was very fortunate, that's for sure. I mean, it almost been cheaper for us to buy a 1200 somewhere in the line and get
after all these things that we bought for
it. Another ton of news this week, but just a few things we're gonna touch on here. The guys over at Guru Meditation, I love these guys, and they put up an awesome video. Amy Party. I'm sure you've seen it if you went to the Google Plus site. I put it up there. Now it's all over. It's been a big hit on YouTube. It's got a lot of hits, and basically it's just the old fella going over to Poland and just getting crazy with the Amiga guys over there and girls. And man, it looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah. There's I guess his wife is from Poland.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, which is handy.
Yeah, and so they flew over there, and he got to see his relatives, and then they basically just dropped him off in this parking lot.
That was great. That was great, and really, he was instantly embraced.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you, what got me, what warmed the cockles of my heart when the Polish guys rolled them in there, and they opened up the fridge and they had the homemade vodka.
They know how to drink over there.
Sort of brownish looking, but man, you could imagine. But those guys, well, I'll tell you what impressed me was the fact that these guys were designed their own hardware. Is Poland where our crazy?
Yeah, that's where our
things came from. So heck, that guy could have been at the party.
Yeah,
They had a big crowd there too.
It was
the
huge.
Party.
And they had tons and tons of Amigas, just row after row. All the big games. People were just facing off in Sensible Soccer, and
that would be so much fun.
Yeah,
Yeah. What we may have to do. We're not going to be able to get that kind of gathering of Amigites. But if we cobbled together every old obscure computer we could think of into one big crazy throwdown, we might be able to pull something off.
Well, they've got the Vintage Computer Festival that's in Atlanta, and last year we were invited to go.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah. And so
thank you, by the way, for that.
So maybe this year, if we find out about it with enough time, maybe we can make a little journey down there.
I'm telling you, we need to start Hurricathon or something out here and get every sucker, every weird old geezer out of his basement with his various computer, and we'll put them in a big room.
Yeah.
And we'll get Geritol on tap, and we'll all. It won't be like the Polish party, that's for sure. But that looked great. I like the fact that they had the demos up. 2-day event, outstanding. So it's a good video. If you want to have a look at it, check it out. It's on the Google Plus page. Just to briefly touch on it, we mentioned the awesome, helpful 1200 help Aaron repair his 1200 post that got put up.
We actually haven't mentioned that.
I thought we mentioned it on the last show.
No, that's a new thing.
Oh, well, remember yeah, you're right, because that last time I said I was having trouble.
Yeah.
So, gosh, I'm trying to think what the fella's name was that stuck it up, or do you remember off the top of your head?
No, I'd have to look it up. That's terrible.
You remember last week? I don't have my notes in front of me for that.
Just talking.
You remember last week? I mentioned that my Amiga was phantomly clicking on the screen. It was driving me absolutely insane.
Jason warned.
That's it. Yeah, and so Jason, like an angel, an Amiga angel, comes down and just levels all kinds of information about what possibly could be wrong. I've been a busy daddy this week and have not got to crack into the old Amiga yet, but because my September and October are very busy months for me, but I'm hoping this week to crack into it, and I will give you an update if I get it working. But it was some really good, helpful stuff. And if you know anyone that's had any problems similar to this is certainly a good launching point to, Jason did a lot of legwork with schematics and whatnot, and there's some really good tips. And I really appreciate it, by the way, the work you put in. And I'm hoping that it'll steer me in the right direction. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping it's nothing too serious.
Right.
But we'll see. Once I pop it open, we'll have a look. I noticed over on our favorite news site, Indie Retro News, they had a post up about Catacombs 3D and Keen Dreams, the old DOS games, coming over to the Amiga. I remember playing those. Did you ever play any of the Commander Keen?
No, I've heard a lot about them, but I've never played them.
Commander, this is going to be kind of hard to explain if you're an old school Amiga person. Back in the day, if you had a DOS computer and you wanted to play some awesome happening games, you were pretty much screwed. I know a lot of people are not going to like me to say that, but it's true. You had EGA, and you had you were running out of DOS. It was a real pain in the ass. I'll be honest with you, because I was there. And Commander Keen and Catacombs 3D, I didn't have a whole lot of experience with it. It's sort of like Doom, Wolfenstein 3D. It's like I think it was before. I think it was right after Wolfenstein or right before it. I can't remember.
Was the original Wolfenstein an EGA game? It couldn't have been, right?
I think it was CGA actually.
Well, CGA is even before EGA.
Yeah.
CGA is like 4-color.
Yeah, it was horrible. They were
but not in the Wolfenstein 3D. Not Wolfenstein.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah. Wolfenstein 3D. I think it was EGA.
Okay.
EGA, for those that you don't know, I think it was like 16 colors. It wasn't great. But anyway, Commander Keen. Now, Commander Keen was, I think they ran in both. Mm-hmm. And Commander Keen, I remember playing it in CGA. And it was about a little kid who, it was a platform game. You'd run around and jump and shoot. And it was good. It was cute. It was pretty good. It was pretty creative, and they did a lot with what they had to work with. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, if you put it in the same, it's not the Addams Family or something. Right. We're not in the same ballpark here. But if you're nostalgic for it, and of the old DOS games, this was one of the better ones, in my opinion. So, anyway, I think they're going to release Catacombs as a release, a paid release. It seems like I read that today. I was like, huh. So I don't know what the stats is, but if you want to have a look at these, check them out. I got them linked up. Let's see what's anything else here. If you are a fan of Amiga Format Magazine, and who isn't, right? I used to read it myself. I had to have it. It was expensive. I had to have it brought over, just like we do now.
Retro Gamer.
Poor America. We can't get a decent, The guys over at Retro Hour are talking with the former editor on the newest episode. I just saw this pop up. I haven't got to listen to it yet, but those guys are always great, and so give that a listen. it probably has some interesting tales. I would wager that was a pretty crazy magazine to run.
All those magazines back
It's
then,
amazing
yes.
how many competing magazines there were.
Yeah.
You know, in that
In
era.
Amiga format, I think they were the ones that stuck it out all the way until like 2001 or something like that.
It's funny because the only thing I can relate it to is is the Coco at the time, that's what I had. And the Coco had 2 magazines that I ever saw. It had Hot Cocoa, which was not that good, and it had Rainbow, the big one, the real thick one, and that was it. We were happy. I was stunned we had that many, to be honest with you. And the PC, I mean, gaming wise, you know, because really those are sort of general magazines, but they were sort of game-ish, you know. But they would have some, but a lot they had other stuff. But I mean, we didn't have any pure gaming Coco mags, and I don't think we had. I mean, the only pure gaming PC mags, there were maybe what, let's say, at any given moment you'd have 3, you know, that were pure PC. You had PC Gamer, you had Computer Games. Yeah. And you had there was a couple other ones that would come and go, you know, but I mean, it wasn't like 20 or something like the Amiga had. All those games.
I think the Amiga had more magazines devoted to it than any other gaming platform.
I wonder if the Sinclair or the Amstrad had that.
Well, there's your Sinclair and Crash. I think those were the 2 for the Sinclair. The C64 was Zap 64. I'm sure there were other ones.
I wonder if there were any were there any magazines that covered multi
there were
machines?
video games and computer entertainment.
No, I mean that's an American magazine.
Oh, you mean in the UK?
Yeah.
I don't know. Good question.
Yeah. So hey, enlighten us, guys. We don't know. Like I said, we the Americas. It's funny how did we have such a crappy little market for that stuff? I can't figure that out.
I think it's just
we had like Compute, but Compute was kind of lame.
Yeah, I think the consoles were just so much more popular. Now, I mean, definitely in America we had at least one magazine for every platform. Like Antic was the Atari magazine.
But even consoles,
Analog was for Atari.
You know, consoles. Think of all the console magazines. There weren't a ton of those.
Well, that we had EGM.
Right.
That was the big
You had
heavy hitter.
EGM. You had what was their opponent? I can't remember the name of the other one.
Well, video games, computer entertainment. There's for
you know, then there was Nintendo Power had a magazine. I think Sega probably. I don't remember Sega having one, but they must have had something.
They did. There was the PlayStation, the official PlayStation magazine. But a lot of these were just the mouthpieces of
they weren't
the
like an independent source.
Right. The UK, I mean, let's be honest, the UK have always been more of a reading population than the United States. That's just the way it is.
Makes us look bad, doesn't it?
Them's the facts.
We're dumb.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
Dumb.
That's why we don't get good magazines, I guess. And the ones I really like, they always go with like Next Gen. I used to read that. That didn't last that long.
Yeah, that was a great magazine.
You know, so we're lucky we get anything. You know, and now no one reads magazines, and I guess most people don't read at all.
Yeah.
That's all I got news-wise, though. I don't think there's anything of any. I think they released a new version of Win UAE since we talked about the last version, which is a couple weeks ago. I have not gotten it yet, so I can't speak on that. But I think that's pretty much the long and short of it.
Yeah. On the site, aside from that great Jason Warren's article on the phantom mouse clicking, Dreamcatcher has also published another public domain games that may or may not have borrowed heavily from commercial releases.
I think he's put 2 of those up.
Yeah, there's 3 altogether. So
those are great.
Yeah, those.
I was looking at the Robin Hood one before we come over. Those are always very good.
So that's what's been going on the site this week.
You might want to mention. Did you mention your Mac video?
Oh yeah. So I didn't put this up on the site, but if you check out our YouTube channel, I did a Amigos Plays video of just the Mac operating system, Mac OS 6.0.8, which is the one that I'm using on the Mac Plus, and just a little tour of the system, and then I play some Glider. And man, there's nothing like the fun of swapping discs at least 7 or 8 times just to get that game going.
Now, with your new gimmick, does you have to do that anymore?
So now, one of the YouTube commenters helpfully pointed out that my floppy emulator also can emulate the HD20, which is the hard disk for the Mac Plus. I just booted up into that, no more disk swapping.
So does the Mac, does everything on the Mac hard drive installable?
Yeah, well, so what it does is the machine thinks that you've got a hard disk connected to it. There's no hard disk in the Mac Plus itself.
Right.
So as long as you boot the floppy emulator into hard drive mode and not single disk mode, then everything shows up right away.
But when you had a Mac back in the day,
Right.
you know, on the Amiga, take WHD load out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Very few things were hard drive installable.
Right.
Was it like that on the
No,
Mac?
the Mac was very light on copy protection.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just because there were so few games for it.
Mm-hmm.
The Mac also, I think it might have been, I don't know. I know that one of the things on the YouTube comments for that video, they said that what you'd actually do is you'd take a blank disk, you'd put the system software on it and your game, and that's it. And that would be your copy of the game.
Huh.
And so that way you wouldn't have to swap disks because the system software is on that disk too. But the Amiga obviously has more stuff, like you don't have to boot Workbench to get to a game, but the Mac you do.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, if you're into the Mac, old school Mac,
Yeah.
you know, we'll occasionally bounce to another computer just cause, you know,
Or
it
even-
doesn't mean we're giving up on the Amiga,
Yeah.
but you know, we just, and like I was telling Boat on the pre-show, I picked up a EverDrive cartridge for my Genesis, aka Mega Drive, and I've got a 32X, and I was playing with it, and I think we're going to do a few videos of games on the Genesis that have a common, that are having common with the Amiga, just for fun, just to kind of see how it looks compared. Like this week, I had a quick look at Battle Squadron since we just reviewed it. And so we might do that. You know, we'll probably branch out a little bit into some of this other. I mean, we've got all these computers now. It's kind of neat to compare how they look and stuff.
And you know, the Amiga's a great starting point because you know the Amiga version is going to look the best 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
But we'll check out some of the other ports just to see.
Not to mention, it makes me feel better. I've got an Amiga. I've got to have this.
Right. So I think that's all of the site updates. We've done the news. It's time to dive right into Rodland.
Rodland. What a horrible name for a game. Let's start with that. As I mentioned earlier, this is a name that will get you mocked and belittled. I don't know if this is a direct translation, or I have no idea why it's called Rodland. Do you?
No. Well, it's a land, and you've got a rod, and you're hitting stuff with the rod.
Valid point. Rodland came out. Just a little background.
Oh, and I also wonder if it's Rodland or Rodland.
I don't know.
It's like, you know how, like, back in the 30s, they used to say, it's the Batman. Like when they said Batman.
Well, maybe this, I don't know. I know this was the Japanese, it obviously was a Japanese game, so I'm guessing it was something that was just a translation. Maybe they thought this would, I just can't imagine someone saying, this'll sell.
Yeah.
You know. Anywho, Rodland was released on the Amiga in 1991. It was based on the, I guess you could say, hit arcade machine.
Hits in quotation.
Yeah, from Jalico.
Oh, yeah, Jalico, really?
Yeah,
Makers of
Jalico.
Bases Loaded.
Yeah. In fact, I've got a little list of what they did. I will
City
go over
Connection.
You're very good.
I'm a Jalico expert.
Oh wow! Well, you've got the two of the 3 or 4 that I highlighted. The coin-op came out in '90, so this is a pretty quick translation. It came on 1 disc, and it was published worldwide by Storm, aka the Sales Curve, which we covered them a while back.
Yep.
They had done Double Dragon 3, Final Blow, Indie Heat, and Sviv, and Trodlers. What a weird name.
That is strange. It's very British.
This has 2-player simultaneous support, which we took advantage of earlier when we were playing it, which we liked. It was developed by the Sales Curve. Again, same guys that developed Silkworm, among other things. You'll recognize, it's funny, now who'd have thought Rodland would have a ton of stuff in common with Swiv and Silkworm?
It's kind of a
But they share,
for sure.
a coder and the graphics guy.
Of course, we talk about Rodland so often. We'll probably be
The coder was a guy, one of the guys that did the art and coding on this was a guy named John Crowdy. He did Ninja Warrior Swiv and a game called Saint Dragon. The other coder, and this is sort of the main guy, I guess, is Ronald. I'm going to butcher his middle name, Pikett Waziric. He did Swiv, he did Ninja Warrior. And the same guy that did the graphics on Swift did the graphics on this, which is Ned Langman. He did, again, Double Dragon 3, Final Blow, Indie Heat, Judge Dredd, Swift, and Saint Dragon. So you see these same names that popped up from when we were talking about Silkworm and Swift. This game came out on quite a few machines. I was surprised, actually, how many... Again, this is a game that must have been... I read that this game was very Eurocentric in its appeal. I've never seen one of these in the arcade.
No.
And I had not heard of it until it was pointed out by somebody. I think it was one of our listeners mentioned it the first time. This thing came out on the Amstrad. It was out on the Atari ST, the C64. Surprisingly, it had a Nintendo release, although it was a pretty limited release. I think it was like, where did we say it was, like Netherlands? It was a real odd release. Spain, that was one of the places it was released. This game on the Amiga shows up in a compilation called the Raving Mad compilation, which I thought was a little odd.
They were. I know we talked about this before, but they were huge on compilations in Europe. I wasn't big in the PC scene at this time. Did we get a lot of compilations over
Not
here?
like this. And I'm guessing it's budget-based stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it makes sense to take these games that are good, put them together, and sell them again. It just makes sense, especially if you missed them the first time. It's a perfect... Or if you were pirated them the first time and you want to get the, it's not the worst idea. So let's talk about Jellicoe a little bit. I was going to go into I like to go into the history of some of these people, but I was telling Bo before the show, Jellicoe has the most boring history you've ever seen. It was founded October 3rd, 1974 as the Japanese Leisure Company. So that's where they got the name. They released a lot of coin-op stuff. They went through a million weird name changes. They were Jellicoe Limited, Jellicoe Holdings, back and forth, traded around. But it looks like they finally fizzled. And whoever owned them gave up on them around 2008. So they were around quite a while. They did a lot of arcade games. Let's see. I've looked over the list here. I'm not going to read all these because they did so many, but the ones I saw that were the heavy hitters were Bases Loaded. Yeah. And Bases Loaded 96, which that was a pretty popular game in the States. They also did, just like Boat said, they did City Connection. That was impressive, Boat. You remembered that.
That's one of my favorite games.
They did Cisco Heat. I played that in the arcade. They did something called Maniac Mansion Disk System version. I don't know if that's the Maniac Mansion we're familiar with or some kind of arcade thing.
So it's probably the Maniac Mansion that came out on the Famicom Disk System.
Could be. It very well could be. They also did Naughty Boy. I don't know if you remember Naughty Boy.
Woo!
Yeah. I don't know what that was.
It's Naughty Boy, the H.
They did a bunch of other... They did Hammerlock Wrestling, which I don't know what that is.
I think we need to play that.
Yeah, and then a bunch of other crazy stuff. I mean, some of these names are...
Pinball Quest.
Yeah, they did Ninja Taro, Nightcaster 2. They did a bunch of stuff. It's just, I guess, it's one of these crazy cuts. It's just they threw things up against the wall and so it stuck. Mm-hmm. Apparently, they didn't get a ton of hits. To be honest with you, I mean, I looked at the list.
Do you know what? Did you ever play Bases Loaded back in the day?
I have played it, but it's been quite a while.
Do you know what the defining characteristic of that game is?
I don't.
It's the only game that I know of, the only baseball game that I know of, where you're positioned behind the pitcher when you throw the ball. So the view of looking out is just like watching it on TV, where the camera is positioned behind the pitcher. You see him throw the ball.
Oh, I see. It was one of the first ones that did that one.
Yeah.
That's a good... I always liked that, too. They also did... a personal favorite of mine. Not the game, but the show. The Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. The NES version of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever played that, but I used to watch that show, and I really liked it back in the day. Still, I'll occasionally have a look at it. Do you want to kind of try to explain how you play Rodland for the people out there that haven't seen it played?
So Rodland is a single-screen platform arcade game, much in the vein of a game like Bubble Bobble or Mr. Deuce Castle. You've got ladders that exist in the playing field, and you've got enemies that are walking back and forth across the platforms. They can also travel down the ladders. And your job is to collect all of the little tokens that are on the board. Once you clear all the tokens...
flowers.
Yeah, in some levels it's flowers, in some levels it's bells. And once you do that, you go to the next level. You can also kill the enemies for points, and if you destroy all the enemies on a level, that's another way that you can end the level. When you kill the enemies, you don't just shoot them. You basically take your rod out, you hit them, the enemy attaches to the rod, and then you swing it back and forth over your head, bashing the enemy against the ground until they disappear.
Or you can just kind of whack them once, and they'll be stunned for a second. If you've got multiple enemies coming on, you can just stun a couple.
Right. There's also power-ups, so if you defeat an enemy, they'll leave a power-up, which could be a bomb or a missile or something, and that usually clears all the
crazy
enemies.
Shooting all over the screen.
One of the neat things about the game that we just discovered when we were playing is that you can make your own ladders.
Yeah.
So if you hit the fire button when you're not near an enemy, or maybe you have to push up and hit the fire
push
button.
up or down. Yeah.
Then you'll create your own ladder, and so that's very handy in escaping. If you're in trouble, there's kind of a variety of environments. Some are outdoors, some are indoors. The colors are spectacular. I mean, this thing looks like an arcade game. It probably looks closer to an arcade game than any other port that we've played so far. Maybe Rainbow Islands was close.
This is impressive.
But yeah, I think this looks better than Rainbow Islands.
Yeah, and having watched the arcade game for a while, I saw screen by screen comparisons. I mean, it's incredible, and I'll get into why it's like that later. In case you didn't mention it, when you play a fairy, the fairies are Tam and Rit. Those are your fairies. This
RHITT?
RIT.
Oh.
Yeah. This game has a real kind of weird backstory. It's very strange. Your quest is to rescue their mother, who's trapped in a tower. It's very strange. Apparently, sometimes your departed father will guide you.
Wow.
I guess we never got that far.
Yeah.
We mentioned that this was released on a bunch of different machines. Like Boat said, you can create your own ladder to move up and down at your leisure. You can't jump. On the NES version of this, they made it so you could jump. So it's a pretty big gameplay change. And I've also read a couple places that they shrank the screen size down a little bit to have more playfield room on the NES version.
Interesting.
Now, I think personally, I like the large, sort of limited space you've got. It's not a huge level. But I didn't feel like it felt cramped.
Mm-hmm.
The characters are beautifully drawn. They move quite well.
Yeah, the sprites are, like you said, even though the sprites are big, they're on the bigger side. You never feel like you're running. It feels spacious.
Yeah. It's funny. I was reading an interview with I think it was the artist, and they were no, not the artist, Prince. It was Ned Langman, and he was saying they were asking him how they made the game, and basically what happens is Jalico sent him like all the art, okay, and they gave him a machine to put in the lab or wherever they're working, and what they would do is, if you ever looked at the art in like a main, you can hit a button and maybe it'll show you all the different sprites and whatnot. They just gave him a pile of this art, basically, and he had to piece it all together. In the interview, he talks about it, and they asked him, "How did you freeze the screen set to recreate the art?" And what he did, I guess he just videotaped the game and would just put the VCR in and just hit pause and just
draw away
and make it, and manually make the art. So I thought that was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I noticed they asked the programmer, how much help does Jalico give you, or any of these guys give you? And literally, they give you zero help. They give you the art. They give you the use of the machine, and that's it. So everything in the game was strictly made by someone who sat down and played the game and then recreated it. And it's amazing how close it is. I mean, again, if you look at still shots, it's almost perfect. Mm-hmm. The original arcade game had a secret a secret in it where you could do a certain thing and unlock 32 levels. And the Amiga version doesn't have it. I don't know if the other versions have it or not. But the programmer said that he didn't know that. And that's probably would have put it in maybe if he'd known. But he did say he'd seen a lot of extra art in there. And he had no idea what it was for. And now he knows that's what it was for. So the arcade machine, there's actually a way you could actually play more levels of it. So the game does have a finite ending. They also asked him, that there were 3 different versions. Do you just know what the difference were? There's a 1.3, a 1.3S, and 1.32. He had no idea what they were talking about. So whatever those new versions are,
maybe just hardware revisions or something like that.
Yeah. So, but this game, I know when I was playing it, and we actually. Did we attempt to do an Amigos play or something? So did we do an Amigos play a while back? It's like I know we've played this before.
We've never played this one before because we couldn't get it to emulate properly.
That's what it was. I noticed playing this game that it reminded me a lot of Mr. Dude's Castle. And when I say a lot, they really have no gameplay elements in common in terms of the way it feels, but the element of the ladders, the fact that you can't jump. The fact that you're going around, actually it does have a lot of place elements involved. You're going around collecting stuff. You're spelling extra, which is
very universal like.
Yeah. So it has, but I think it sets well with Mr. Dude's Castle.
I think Rodland might be better. I know you're a big fan of the Dude.
I had to give it more. I had to put more time in it.
I know you've played so much Mr. Dude's Castle over the years.
But this is the kind of game I dig, honestly. And I can see why people were telling us to have a look at it because it's bright, it's beautiful, the colors pop out of the screen, the characters are fun, it's not violent, it's not crazy, it's not frenetic, really. It just goes at a good pace, and it's just a good time. It's one of those games that looks like easy to play, hard to master, that sort of thing. And it looks like if you really devoted some time to it, you could probably get good enough at it to go quite a distance. We didn't get that good at it. But I really dug it, and it'll be getting played a lot more. I'd say, like I mentioned the boat, you could have shown me this screen and said this is from the arcade, and I'd been like, yeah, I can see it. Like he says, I don't think there's an arcade game. There's a ported game on the Amiga that looks any better.
No,
in terms of
I don't think so.
From the arcade. Your thoughts?
I thought it was great. This is definitely in the top 10 games that we've done in the 60 episodes of this show. And the little amount of time that I've played it, I can see myself coming back to this.
Yeah.
Over and over again.
And the music's nice. It's got the perfect arcadey tone to it.
Yeah, it's another one of those games where you just wonder, where have you been all my life? And I would have never. We talked about this on the Let's Play. Like, if you were scrolling through a list of titles on MAME or emulator or whatever, Rodland, that sounds dumb. Moving on.
Yeah.
We never would have checked it out.
I would have never played it. And I like the added element with the balloons floating up.
I didn't even think about that. That adds a bubble bobble like feel to it.
And it's got a puzzly aspect to it, but it's also action.
Right.
You have to sort of kind of plan, but you don't have a whole lot of time to plan. So you've got to sort of make those split decisions, like jumping on a ledge where there's a guy hoping you can not land on and stuff. Not being able to jump. When you go off ladders or ledges, your guy's kind of floaty. That works. The floatiness works because that gives you enough time as you're floating down and trying to make something happen.
Yeah.
So I give it 2 thumbs up. I thought it was cool.
Me too.
So good job, listeners. If it wasn't for you guys, we'd have never played this. So nice work.
What's this thing going for on eBay these days?
Oh boy! Well, of course, this did not have an American release. This was strictly something that was overseas. So you can't get this in the U.S. Not you unless you have it imported. And by the way, this is not a cheap game. You can get the Going Mad compilation version. I saw it going for about $50 shipped U.S. dollars. So and a lot of them in the U.K. I found one original version of it in Spain selling, and this guy was fishing, I think, $150 or so, I thought, or best offer. But then I looked, and earlier this month, a copy of the box version of this game sold for $134 in the UK.
So you can get that kind of money.
On the flip side, in August, someone bought the box version for $20.
You just never know.
So you're all over the map. You might want to hold off on the 150 until
There
you
might be
see
one
it.
that comes up.
But I mean, I will say there were very few of them. The box art is goofy, and
It you know what it reminds me of? The style of the game from the screenshots versus the box art is a lot like Ladybug. If you think about the box art for Ladybug,
yeah. you were a fan of Ladybug, aren't you?
I am. I like
Yeah,
Ladybug
I
a lot.
So good luck if you pick one up. Hold on to it and then sell it in a few months. Maybe you'll get lucky.
Yeah. Before we go, I just want to remind everybody that you can find us on Twitter at Amigos Podcast. You can find us on Google+. There's a link to that on amigospodcast.com. You can find us on Facebook. If you want to write to us, you can contact us through any of those means, or just amigos at amigospodcast.com.
And I'm working on signing us up on this wacky thing. You heard of a thing called Satchel?
No.
Satchel is this. I just found out about it. It's this nutty sort of podcast service thing that what you can do is look at all the podcasts in certain regions. Like I looked at every podcast they had for West Virginia. For
Wow.
example. Guess how many they had?
5.
They had one, and it wasn't us.
Oh, well, we need to get on that.
Yeah. So. And it kind of breaks it down. It kind of dumb guys your podcast listen. We'll probably be on there too if it's not a scam. I'll let you know.
My dad's listening to the podcast now.
Oh, hello. I'm sorry.
So he's like, because I was like, I got a new computer, and he's like, the Spectrum? I was like, so it's odd.
That would be
My
strange,
father's
wouldn't it?
listening, yeah.
I'm afraid that people listen to it.
Yeah. So, but we'd like to thank our Patreon sponsors. We got Rob O'Hara, Paul Harrington, Laurent Giroux, Jonas Rollo, and Jonas, I hope you're having better luck finding that Amiga. Kolbjorn Barman, Tapes from the Crypt, Adam Bradley, Chris Folds, Will Williams, Intrepid Videographer, Daniel Bingston, O'Brien's Retro and Vintage, Norway's Own.
Yeah, I added O'Brien's to my Facebook or my Twitter, and they have all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't know what they're saying, but man, I see weird stuff come over that.
Lots of
feed,
awesome
man.
Norwegian stuff.
Oh man,
Chad Halstead and the incomparable Brent Dowdy.
oh he's comparable. Trust me.
So, Aaron, next week, I think it's time to go back to the track. We're going to do Lotus 3.
Okay, the gauntlet's thrown on that then.
Yeah.
Weren't we bad mouthing that last week?
We were, so it's time to see if it's really as bad as we think it is.
I'm going to clean the slate. All right. I'm going to go into it with an open mind. And I'm going to, because some people dig the 3.
Yeah.
And honestly, I didn't like it the first couple times I played it, and I never went back. And so I could have been a shallow jerk. I'm going to go in there with an open mind, and I'm going to give it another shot.
What's your opinion of when they take a movie title and they replace the E in it with a 3 for the third part?
It's low. It's a low opinion of that. It's not good.
I'm not surprised.
Can you name a movie that did that?
I was thinking about Driver.
That's exactly what I was thinking. That's exactly what I was
thinking.
thinking.
It's a video game, but I'm sure they've done it with a movie before, too.
Oh, man. Great minds, and the inverse.
You want to talk about anything else?
I got to moth the man. Let's get this thing done.
All right. Come to Mothman tomorrow in Point Pleasant. Until next time, adios.